Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and welcome to our Westchester Weekly Update. This is Monday, August 29th, the last Monday of the month of August, and we've been happy to bring these updates for you on a once-a-week basis, give you an idea of some of the things that are happening in Westchester County. As we always do, we have Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins joining me for the update. He'll have some of the different issues to touch on, and each week we have a guest from one of the local towns, cities, or villages in Westchester County who will tell you a little bit about what's happening in their jurisdiction. In a few minutes, I'll be introducing Tony Gonsalves, who is the supervisor of the town of Lewisboro in the northeastern part of Westchester County. Over 12,000 people and over 30 square miles of turf. Big town. And it borders Connecticut a little bit and reaches into where 684 is. So Tony will touch on some of the priorities that he has as the new supervisor since the beginning of the year in the town of Lewisboro. We're going to give you a quick update on Memorial Field. This is not the grand announcement of Memorial Field. That's coming. We'll have a press conference with the mayor of Mount Vernon, but I'll touch on some issues regarding Memorial Field. We'll recap the Beeline bus system, what's happened over the course of the summer, which we're very happy with, and we hope it lays the groundwork for the future. We'll give the review of COVID, monkeypox, also our parks, which continue to be well used as we approach the end of the park season coming in just a week, in the beginning when Labor Day weekend comes to a close on Labor Day. And we'll touch on the recent primary elections that are behind us, and we'll also talk about 9/11 that's upcoming and also Airport Town Hall. So a lot of different local things. You know, there's a lot of exciting issues in the world at large, in the country at large, and in the state at large. We're a county government, and we focus on things that are in our backyard, but at least this is an opportunity for us to give you a bit of a briefing on these things, and hopefully you'll find it interesting and helpful. In any event, so each one of these updates, we do invite one of our local officials to join us here. There are 45 towns, cities, and villages in Westchester County, and they range in size from Yonkers, third largest city in the state, over 200,000 people, to the village of Buchanan, an incorporated government for over 2,000 people. And we have all sorts of municipalities in between. Some are more densely populated, some are more sparsely populated. And in the stretch of Westchester, if you haven't traveled the whole county, you might live in one corner of the county. I live over in the Sound Shore. It's very common for us to go up and down the New England Thruway and the Boston Post Road, and we're familiar with the communities that are close to us. Somebody else lives in the river towns and go through the villages along the river from Sleepy Hollow down to Hastings. But it's a big county, and it's a diverse county. It's got a lot of different types of communities. And we want you to have an idea of what's happening, because the county government is a local government, and we are a partner government with the towns, the villages, and the cities. And that partnership we take very seriously. So let me introduce Tony Gonsalves to join us here. He is the town supervisor, was elected last November for a term as supervisor. He previously served as a councilman under his predecessor, Peter Parsons, who was here with us in the past. We're very happy that Tony is with us. He is also of Portuguese-American descent, of which he is very proud, and we are very proud. One of the members that have diverse backgrounds that we think add to the mosaic of Westchester County. So without any further conversation, Supervisor Tony Gonsalves from Town of Lewisboro. Tony, thank you very much,
George.
Pleasure
to be here. Well, first I'd like to start off by just saying that we have a great partnership between our local government in Lewisboro and the county government. George Latimer's office and Ken Jenkins, they're readily available to us. We've worked well together. The county has been major help for the town of Lewisboro, especially during the COVID pandemic. There's been a lot of assistance provided to the town from the county and the various county departments. A little bit about myself. So yes, as George mentioned, I am a product of immigrants. Parents are from Portugal. They lived in Brazil. I was actually born in Brazil. They immigrated to the U.S. And in my case, this is it's proof of what this country can offer to people. I've gotten to this position as a result of my parents' hard work in raising me. And like George, grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, so a product of the Mount Vernon public school system. Lived in White Plains for a while, and then when we decided to start a family, we moved up to Goldens Bridge, New York, which is one of the hamlets in Lewisboro. Yes, I follow Peter Parsons, who served as 10 years as supervisor. After almost 8 months on this job, I have to say it's a very diverse position. Never a dull moment. It's lots of fun. There are many people in the townhouse and in the town government in general who I have to thank. They make my life easier. Some of the key people who I work with on a daily basis out of the townhouse is Leo Masterson, our deputy supervisor and controller. He's a great asset. Our tax receiver, Deidre Casper, our town clerk, Janet Donahue, and of course there's the town board. We work very well together, and it's been a great 8 months so far, and I'm sure it's going to continue being that way. Mary Hafter is my personal confidential secretary. She's more like a chief of staff. I know that's her civil service title, but she is more like a chief of staff. She made the transition into this job for me very easy and seamless. I probably would be lost without her assistance and being able to carry over from where she left off with Peter Parsons. So thank you very much, Mary, for your assistance. About Lewisboro. So we're situated 50 miles north of New York City. We border several towns, Somers, Pound Ridge, North Salem, and Bedford, as well as the state of Connecticut. The town does have almost 30 square miles. It is boomerang shaped, and I think in one of the slides you'll see that. So for example, to get from my house on the northwest corner of town in Goldensbridge to the hamlet of Vista, it will take you almost 25 minutes. It does consist of 6 hamlets, Goldensbridge, Vista, Cross River, Wacabuck, South Salem, and Lewisboro. Population of just over 12,000 according to the 2020 census. We have main commercial centers in our hamlet centers of Goldensbridge, Cross River, and Vista. School district is Town of Wilkesboro School District, which includes students from some of the surrounding towns, including Bedford, Pound Ridge, and North Salem. We like our water. We have lakes. We have Lake Kitchewan, Truesdale, Wacabuck, Oskalita, Rippewam, Katona, and Timberlake. And the communities, each community is unique around those lakes. So we do love our water, and the town is a great, offers a lot to residents in terms of lake activities. 96 miles of roads, 11 of which are dirt roads. We have 6 New York State roadways which crisscross the town. So yes, I do have New York State DOT on speed dial. 1 train station in Goldensbridge, which makes it easy to get down to New York City in just over an hour. Our Parks and Rec Department are responsible for 4 of our town parks and 3 preserves. There's a total of 20 preserves in town. Some managed by Lewisboro Land Trust, others by the Westchester Land Trust. And we have 2 county parks, Mountain Lakes Park and Ward Pound Ridge, which also overlap into the town of Lewisboro. We are currently upgrading playgrounds at Onitshu, Fox Valley, and Town Park. Town Park was a success story in that we got some significant help with our state representatives in getting grant money for funding that playground. The committee that organized and pushed to get an all-inclusive playground with certain features, they also did their own fundraising, so very proud of how that turned out, and we hope to have that playground installed within the next few months. We've been busy over the summer. We shout out to the Lions Club, which I know, George, you're also a member, I think, in Rye. But they do a lot in terms of supporting some of our programs, including the barbecue for seniors, which we held in June. We had a Juneteenth, our second annual Juneteenth event, second annual Pride event. Food Truck Fridays, spearheaded by the Lewisboro Playground Project Committee as a fundraiser for the new playground. Town Camp opened up full swing with record numbers, so I applaud the Parks and Rec staff for being able to get that camp going and be successful. We had our first fireworks display since the start of the pandemic. We had our second annual 4th of July free pool access with music, live music, and it was a success. We have an upcoming library fair September 17th, so if anyone wants to dunk the supervisor, I will be in a dunk tank on today. And I believe, George, you dunked me last year. Yes. So we have some of the highlights. We have a first pocket park, which is being created by the Goldensbridge Hamlet organization on property owned by the town. So a bunch of volunteers that decided to do this, and we're helping out with that. We launched our first food scraps recycling program, and it has been a success. We have Lewisboro Commons, which is a 42-unit affordable housing complex, much needed in town. And it's going up in Goldensbridge, and will be opening shortly, I believe, in September. The first building opens up. Over 1,800 applications were received for 42 units. Our Sustainability Committee has done some fabulous work. They recently had the program together with a NYSERDA grant where you can turn in gas-powered equipment for a $100 voucher that you can use for battery-operated equipment. And that was a success. I finally gave up my 25-year-old leaf blower. Regarding our town's comprehensive plan, we are excited to have kicked off the work on a much-needed update to our 1984 master plan. And so that is underway. It's going to take involvement from multiple groups within the community and the residents, and looking forward to that. So we hope to continue with these successful initiatives, which will make Lewisboro the place that everyone wants to move to. So please take the opportunity to drive north, pay us a visit, and hopefully we'll see you around any of our hamlet centers or the great outdoor areas that we have. Thank you very much. Thank you, George. Thank you, Ken. Thanks again.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you. That's Tony Gonsalves, who is the supervisor for the town of Lewisboro. We're very appreciative of him taking the time to be with us today, as we are all of the mayors and supervisors that find their way to us. As we've said before, we're trying to form a very strong partnership with local governments, and we do this on a bipartisan basis because we want to be a good partner to those local governments. And then in many of the issues, we try to provide the same kind of liaison to the state through our state legislative delegation and the statewide officials. People expect government to produce results. They don't necessarily want to hear about the process. They don't necessarily want to hear that one level of government is fighting with another level of government. So we try to figure out how do we resolve issues amicably and do it in a way that's productive for all of us. And so, Tony, appreciate your help and that of all of your team in Lewisboro. We look forward to working with you again. So thanks. So let's jump in, giving an update on a few things, and we'll go back and forth between myself and Ken on some of these issues. First of all, the COVID update. We've been tracking it. We're almost 2.5 years into this process. Right over this coming Labor Day weekend, we will hit the 2.5-year mark from March of 2020 into September of 2022. The most recent numbers show that as of the weekend, we had 1,900 active cases of coronavirus. That means number of people who have contracted the disease but not yet gone through the period of time in which their antibodies have fought off the disease, so they're seen as having an active case. They are actively communicable with the disease. 1,901 individuals over the weekend. 1 month ago, July 28th, we had 3,248 active cases. And if you want to go back 3 months to May 28th, that was Memorial Day. You know, Memorial Day to Labor Day is commonly thought of as the period of summertime. We had 4,916 active cases. So from 4,900 to 3,200 to 1,900, we've seen a reduction over the course of the summertime. And we expect that because we are outdoors more. When you're indoors, the virus can be more transmissible from individual to individual. And being outdoors now in lower dense situations, this vacation time, we're appreciative of seeing those numbers go down. We hope they continue to go down, but we know that we're going back to school in the next couple of weeks. We also know that as the weather starts to get colder, there'll be less outdoor dining, there'll be more indoor meetings. Right now, there are many outdoor activities, still plenty of meetings on Zoom and WebEx, virtual platforms. So we'll just have to see whether the course of this roller coaster continues to ride. But at the moment, we're doing a little bit better with this. And it hasn't become an obsession with us every day. As we'll talk about in a few minutes, we've had a very normal summer in terms of our recreation and our ability to interact socially, even though the virus is still with us in a somewhat reduced number. The most recent number shows we have 135 people who have been hospitalized. A month ago, that number was 150, but truthfully, it's hovered a little above and a little below that 130 mark. We've been down in the 120s, we've been up to the 150s over the last few months. It really depends on the individuals who contract the disease, what their general health is. We have lost, on the average, about 20 fatalities a month to COVID. Now, that's less than one a day. We had days in the very beginning of this pandemic that were horrific, but every death is a tragedy for the individual, the family, and the friends of that individual. So even when the number is low, we don't treat it as a statistic, but it is important to know that that's about what we've been averaging. We have a total of 2,792 fatalities. As of this weekend and a month ago, we were at 2,772 fatalities. If you go back that additional period of time of 2 months back to May, once again, 2,729. So we're averaging about 20 fatalities a month. And generally, the fatalities are people of advanced age, usually more than just senior citizens, usually after the age of 75, approaching 80. Those who have underlying health issues of any age, and then of those who have been unvaccinated. And in some regular proportion, that is the vast majority of those who suffer fatality. We are still about 5% hospitalization of all the people that have active cases, and we're under 1% fatality of all the people that have ever contracted it. and that is at least an encouraging sign in the terms that this disease has affected 1%, less than 1% out of the 100% that may have been infected by it. So we hope that will go forward. Ken will talk in a few minutes about some of the vaccination efforts that are going on for COVID. And we'll mention monkeypox, which it gets mentioned in the same breath as COVID, very different disease. It is not transmitted by airborne means. It's transmitted by person-to-person contact and close skin contact. We have had a total of 79 individuals over the course of the last now 3 to 4 months who have contracted monkeypox. 14 of those cases are active cases in the last 2 weeks, which is a good sign. So when we talk about COVID being down, 1,900 cases countywide, monkeypox, 14 cases countywide in the aggregate. We think that the numbers are encouraging. No fatalities suffered in Westchester County due to monkeypox. And again, the total number of people who have been infected in Westchester County, in the aggregate, 79 individuals. So 65 of them have cleared the protocol. In the case of monkeypox, there's been an aggressive vaccination process, and many of the vulnerable individuals to monkeypox have aggressively wanted to go out and get the vaccination. And vaccination, in the case of monkeypox, clears up the disease. It doesn't lessen the symptoms or lessen the impact. It cures the disease, every disease being different. And in this particular case, we have administered through a number of different sources over 2,000 monkeypox vaccinations. That's our clinics, and that includes the special clinics we've done with the LOFT, the LGBTQ organization. Other local providers have also been helpful in that process, and we continue to offer vaccinations. The Westchester Medical Center, which is a separate entity not run by the county government, continues to offer vaccinations Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. They have a drive-in capacity. You can call there to get an appointment. We continue to have Monday and Wednesday clinic vaccination appointments for monkeypox. Call the Westchester County Health Department. The clinic is here in downtown White Plains, and we're happy to provide you that assistance as well as we work with our various community partners. We'll come back to discuss the vaccination part in just a few seconds. I want to touch on a couple of other issues. I'll bring Ken up, and he's got a number of different topics to cover. First of all, if you are in the southern part of the county, in the Mount Vernon corridor, if you're on the Hutchinson River Parkway and you're in bumper-to-bumper traffic, you got to look out to the left as you head north, you will see that Memorial Field, which was a pile of dirt for a long, long time, has really transformed itself. And even though we haven't turned the key and opened the gates for the community to enjoy it yet, it is substantially nearing completion. It is functionally done as we promised during the month of the summertime, August now, and there are some bolts that have to be tightened and some widgets that have to be added. I generalize. There's a number of electrical and fixture things that have to be created, grading work on the ground, but it is substantially done. The turf field has been installed, which is where you're going to play football and lacrosse, soccer, and what have you. The grandstand concrete walkway has been completed. The whole front entrance, a completely different look from what you've had historically. All of those things are done. What we expect to do, and we'll announce it at some point in time fairly soon, we expect to have a press conference with Mayor Sean Patterson Howard with us here in White Plains, in which we'll announce the formal completion of the project, and we'll outline the process by which the county will hand over the park for the city's operations. It is a city-owned park, and the county has been involved directly in ensuring that this reconstruction project was completed as part of the legacy program that's existed for over a decade in Westchester County. But to use the analogy that I've been fond of using, if you follow track, which there is a track around this football field area, and we'll have track meets there, high school track meets and so forth. If you've ever watched a relay race where there's 4 different individuals running as part of the relay, when a runner is prepared to hand off the baton to the next person in the relay, they don't do it from a dead stop. The runner who's going to be receiving the baton starts to run alongside at the same speed as the runner that's in the race, and they hand them the baton in full stride. And that's exactly what we plan to do with the city of Mount Vernon. We are developing the protocol now for how the park will be operated. The construction phase, as it comes to an end, lends itself now to the operational phase of how will the park be secured, how will we handle food concessions, how will we handle traffic flow of people coming in and out, a host of different issues, and we are working now to develop that protocol alongside the city of Mount Vernon. We're going to be dealing with the fact that the park will be open for use as a skate park and tennis courts, as well as for major events. those that come on the football field, those are concerts and things of that nature. And so we expect to announce that when the mayor and I are together. We work out some of the details, and then we will have a date specific at which the park will be open and operative, but the county will turn it over to the city of Mount Vernon for their responsibility. We're both on calendar year budgets, so with January 1st becomes new budgets, and those budgets have to be adopted not just by the executives of each government, but by the legislatures of each government, the Mount Vernon City Council and the Westchester County Board of Legislators. So all of that's being worked out now with the major effort of the reconstruction project being functionally completed. We're very happy about that. When we have the official grand opening, there will be lots of celebration, lots of time to celebrate. We invite you to come and be part of those celebrations once they're announced. And of course, there's going to be some Mount Vernon Knights high school football on that field. As I've said more than once, I did not play high school football. I wish I'd had, but wasn't good enough. But I did play in the band, and so I got to march on the field. It's a little weak, I know. But the bottom line is that it's quite an experience, and the Mount Vernon Knights high school will get that experience this year during the 2022 football season, and we're very excited about that. And the park will be used, the field will be used for other organizations as well, because while Mount Vernon will administer the park, it is, with county money involved, now open to residents of Westchester County. And when we see different organizations book the field, you will see organizations nearby in Pelham and New Rochelle, both of which are very close to Memorial Field, and conceivably from any place. We hope to have tournaments there. We're going to try very hard to see if Section 1 will put their football playoffs there. I know they use a site right now up in Putnam County, but we think Memorial Field will be the brand new place to try. And we're going to do our best to try to keep that place filled with good functions, things that are wholesome and fun, and we're very excited about it. So Memorial Field is making progress. We'll talk a little bit more about a few other things that we're working on. I want to highlight that this is a project that was originally identified 12 years ago by my predecessor, County Executive Andy Spano, and by the then mayor of the city of Mount Vernon, Clinton Young. We've had different county executives, different mayors in the intervening years, and progress stopped and started and then stopped and then was debated over all this time. We've accomplished a mission that was part of a legacy program that involved new fields or improved fields in many, many other parts of the county. Dobbs Ferry, Sleepy Hollow, Croton were involved in Riverwalk programs through the legacy program. We've had open space projects in Greenburgh and Yorktown and in Somers. We've had field projects in Larchmont and Portchester, Rye Brook and New Rochelle, a number of other places. This is in keeping with that program. So you should understand that we have, as a county government, not just my administration, our administration, we've been involved in this effort to work with local governments to improve their recreation over the course of the last 10, 12 years. And we're very happy that this is now coming to pass. We look at additional allocation of money as we get close now to our 2023 budget, both the operating budget, which comes out in November, and the capital budget, which will come out in October. We're looking at money that will be set aside for parkland and historical preservation. Under this legacy program as well, we have already made a commitment to a $10 million purchase of land for a park in Yonkers, a cooperative effort between the city of Yonkers and the county of Westchester along the water in Ludlow Park section, where the county has asset there in the Westchester County sewer treatment plant. We have money set aside for design, construction of a linear park along the Hudson River, which we think will be a great asset as we continue to make a connective along the walkway of the Hudson. This particular project is in the vicinity of the Bezak Center in Yonkers. We have money studied for environmental review of the Riverwalk connection in Tarrytown that goes under the new bridge. That will require us to do some interesting engineering in order to make that path continue, and some other projects. So we're very happy to point that these things are happening in a very positive light. Also want to mention that with next Monday being Labor Day, we come to the conclusion of a 3.5-month effort to provide free bus service for everybody in Westchester County. We hope you've taken advantage of it. As you watch this report, there is still time for you to hop a Beeline bus for free and travel anywhere in this county. Beeline bus serves facilities like Playland and other recreational facilities. It serves many of our commuter rail stations, and it's an opportunity both to leave your car in the driveway, avoid a little bit of expenditure in that regard, and travel freely and see just how easy it is and convenient it is to ride our bus system. And when you ride our bus system, you'll see that there are newer buses involved. We have hybrid electric buses. We have fully electric buses. When you see the bus go down the street and you realize you're not getting a shot of diesel fumes coming out at you, you realize what Westchester County has done to make the bus system more environmentally sensitive. And we're still in the process of completing that. But we hope that you've enjoyed free fares. We have seen this as an experiment that has worked very, very well. We've had bus ridership increase by 20% on weekdays, 50% on Saturdays, and 30% on Sundays compared to the prior levels earlier in this year before we suspended the fees. Those who were regular users of the Beeline bus system and had passes saved $400 this summer. Now, that's a savings of money they would have spent that they didn't have to spend at a time when everything else is costing them more money. And the Free Rides program is really one that we're proud of. We're going to have a conversation as we do the budget for next year to see what we can do. We know there's people who have advocated buses should be free all year long or for a more extended period of time. We do need fare box revenues to pay for the cost of the bus system. It is an expensive system, but we were able to handle the cost for these 3 months because of the performance this year in other revenue streams, and we have to make sure those revenue streams produce in the future so that we don't create a deficit by taking a particular action. We're going to look at it very carefully. We're coming also now to the end this week of free parking in 2 Metro North commuter lots, White Plains train station, North White Plains train station, both on the Harlem line, which the county owns and was able to provide free for commuters. And you know, if you spend $150 a month for parking, perhaps more, you're able to save that and add those $2 amounts to offset some of the other things that have been happening that is expensive for you. We're continuing to have free civil service exams for all that sit for any civil service testing, and that's testing for jobs at the county or any of the local governments. That is free through December 31st. So if you're looking to get a better job, you believe that there's an opportunity that's being posted in the civil service in your town, your city, your village, or for the county, you can sit for those tests and not pay additional money to do that. We think that's important. We want to thank the leadership of the Westchester Community College, led by Dr. Belinda Miles, the Board of Trustees, led by Dr. Leroy Mitchell. They have worked to follow the same sort of philosophy, and as we've provided some additional money, so have they frozen tuition for the 2022-2023 academic year. Same tuition as we go forward from the past year to the next year. We think that's a savings for people. Normally, things go up every year, and trust me, the community college, like every other part of county government, is suffering through the cost of things going up in the society. But to absorb those things through other revenue streams and provide a freeze for the tuition for the students, particularly those people who generally are more find it more difficult to make ends meet. They're in community college to better themselves so they can get an education, a higher education degree, advance themselves at their work, or have a step after high school that would lead them potentially to a 4-year college. All of those things are made possible through the community college, additional skills and additional degrees, and to do that in a cost-efficient way is very important. So we're very happy to do that. Also, throughout the course of this program, we've added $700,000 of additional funding for our food pantry system around Westchester County. We do that through Feeding Westchester, and there are a number of food pantries that serve us all over. And we're very happy to be able to put some money into those food pantries to provide people with that extra bit of food, and knowing that food prices have gone up in the society, this helped keep their costs down. All of those different things are parts of the efforts we've made, which included lifting the bus fares for 3.5 months over the course of this summertime. And I should point out that we also have a plan that is yet to kick in, and that is reducing your bill for home heating from the months of December, January, and February yet to come. Normally, when you buy either oil to heat your house, or if you pay for electric, or you pay for natural gas, as I've said many times, I hope you're not heating with coal. But the 3 major sources of home heating involves a cost and a sales tax on top of that cost. And we are eliminating the county portion of sales tax, which is roughly half of the overall sales tax. So if you pay something for $1,000, and that would roughly be about $80 worth of cost, you would save half of that, of $40, on an expenditure of $1,000. And if you do that a couple of times during the wintertime, that's the amount of money you'd save. The state allows us to do that. We have opted in for a quarterly savings, but we didn't do it now because you're not heating your home now. You're going to heat it when you hit the wintertime. And so from December to February 28th, that benefit will be in place. And lowering the sales tax on residential energy, we know, is also another one of those things that hopefully is helpful. And in a few seconds, when we talk about how we've done in our pools, keep in mind that we lifted any fees at the Wilson Woods pool. We lost our main pool down there, but we still have some water features. Did not cost you to get into Wilson Woods pool 7 days a week. And Monday through Thursday, those 4 days a week, it was no cost to get into the other three pools, Tibbetts, Sprain Ridge, and Saxon Woods. And then also Glen Island, which has weekday pool beach services. And all of those are still going to be open until Labor Day. Still have another week left to go out and enjoy the water. It's going to be a hot week again. This is a hot week. We're still in the dog days of August. And so that free service is still there. All of these things together are a response to the economic issues that we face. When people say, my cost of living is going up, well, the county government can't control the cost of food. County government can't control baby food formula. We have no power over that. But we see the problem, and we want to address it where we can. In those areas where we establish the pricing and we figure out how can we afford to do this responsibly. We have cut property taxes the last 3 years, and there's a hope we'll be able to do that again once we do the fine-tuning on the budget. But regardless of that, our ability to be able to fund these different things comes from a hard-headed practicality. We know that people are suffering, and we want to address it, not just complain about it, not just use it as something in a political campaign as a football, but actually to try to do things that make it better. And if you've gotten on a Beeline bus for free this summer, if you've had a chance to go to a pool during the week for free, if you sat for civil service tests for free, if you know that you're a student at the college and your costs are not going to go up, if you benefited from the additional free food that's available at a food pantry, and if you know looking ahead that your wintertime budget will be slightly advantaged by losing some of the sales tax, that is how you benefit from the actions that we've taken. And we think these are all prudent actions. They were affordable. They were budgeted properly, and we don't have any particular concerns about our ability to deliver on them going forward. So now back to the health situation. Ken is going to cover where we are in some of the vaccination efforts. You may have heard this before, but it's important to know we want all of us to be well protected. Our Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins.
Thanks, George. And certainly, as the county executive continues to mention, that COVID is still with us, and we're learning how to deal with it on a daily basis. And now that school has reopened next door in Connecticut, they already started, and some other public facilities will be starting to open as we get through the Labor Day vacation holiday. So the county health department is offering, again, free pediatric Moderna COVID-19 vaccinations by appointment for children ages 6 months to 5 years old throughout the summers on Fridays, including this Friday from 9 a.m. to 12 noon at the county clinic here in White Plains at 134 Court Street. And we do know that as the children are going back, and whether they're going into a nursery school environment or whether they're going into a daycare environment, that those children are still susceptible to COVID-19. And you'd have two shots that have to be given 28 days apart at least. And from 1 to 3, the county is going to offer all other COVID-19 vaccines for the other age groups during that same time frame on Fridays. So once again, you need to make that appointment. Go to our health department website. The comms team is making sure that that is scrolling across this bottom of the screen, but health.westchestergov.com, or you certainly can call the health department as well, but make sure to take advantage of getting that appointment for COVID-19, no matter what age group that you happen to be in. Certainly as we continue on with the other vaccinations as children have to go to school, the county executive and I always joke about the shots that we had to take, that every one of us has that shot, that mark on our upper arm that shows that we were fully vaccinated in order to go to school. Supervisor Goncalves has that as well, so we all have that. So back to school vaccinations for influenza, polio, all those kind of things, those have to be done 14 days within the first 14 days from the first day of school. So 14 days prior to the first day of school, we need to make sure that at least you started that vaccination process. So we are in that window now for many individuals. if you are going into school, you need to have those vaccinations. Parents and guardians must show that they made those appointments for the required follow-ups within 30 days of the start of school, or they will send your child home. And that is not a good experience for anyone that's had to have a child that gets sent home for school because they did not complete the vaccination process, especially when they're just starting out. It's not the thing that we'd like to see happen. So this is available again at our county health clinics. New York State, as a reminder, eliminated religious exemptions for vaccinations as of the 2019 school year. So there is this opportunity to go to our county health center to be able to get those back-to-school vaccinations. Families that don't have any health insurance, Child Health Plus, or Medicaid should absolutely call the county health department to schedule an appointment for vaccinations at no charge. So again, this is by appointment only. There's not walk-ins for those general vaccinations. And the dates and times of those going into September are the 9th, September 9th, September 16th, September 23rd, September 30th. All of those are from 9 to 2. They're all at 134 Court Street in White Plains. You certainly can contact your local physician, federally qualified healthcare center to be able to get those vaccinations as well. But call 914-995-5800 to make an appointment at the county health department. And we have a special one on a Saturday on September 10th from 9 to 12 p.m. to do those child general vaccinations for school and for all of our young folks. Back to you, George.
Thanks very much, Ken, and we'll ask Ken to come back in a few seconds to cover a couple more topics. We always try to cover with you what is happening in our various parks, recreational facilities over the course of the summer. We are coming down now to the last week of operation of our pools and beaches. We continue to have golf being played almost all year round. Certainly golfers would golf all year round if we could in the heart of the winter. And we have our walking trails for which we don't really focus on attendance, but all of those facilities stay open year round. But for our summertime facilities, we're very proud to note that we have had tremendous years in our pools, and even with the problems at Wilson Woods Pool, we have had overall between the 4 pools, and if you had Glen Island Beach and Croton Point Park Beach, 22 results that far exceed 21 results in terms of total visitors. Now, we kept open in 2020 as well. During the heart of the pandemic, and of course those numbers were very low even as we kept it open. So really we have almost returned to standard numbers with this summer's results at Tibbetts, Saxon Woods, Sprain, all well above what we had the prior year, and Glen Island as well, in aggregate above prior years. And we're very proud about that. Same is true in our golf courses. We have just about maxed out the number of people that can get on a golf course over the course of a normal daylight day, and as we get a little later in the summertime, it gets darker earlier, so we get less people on the course on a given day in late August than we would be able to do in late June when we have the longest day of the year and so forth, even though my golfing friends would play at night if we could light the courses up pretty well. But we're very happy that all of our courses are running ahead pretty much year to date. A couple of exceptions, but slight numbers difference, and really tremendous numbers last year and the year before as well as this year. So we've also returned to normalcy as we've completed our series of ethnic festivals, ethnic heritage festivals. Ken, the last couple of weeks, has attended our Jewish Heritage Festival, Muslim Heritage Festival, and then in the prior weeks, going back until late May when we began the series of them. These were festivals that we did not have in 2020 nor 2021 because we were concerned about the spread of COVID. But we put a little bit of extra protocols in, nothing really heavy duty, and we've been able to get through all of them with no incidents, no spikes of COVID. And so we're very happy. And all the organizations that planned this, the Italian American Association, the Irish American Association, the African American groups, the Hispanic groups, all of them have had a wonderful time being able to celebrate those ethnicities, the food, the dance, the music, the vendors, which have just completed this past Sunday at Kensico Dam Plaza. We have a couple of them a year at Ridge Road Park, almost all of them, though, at Kensico Dam Plaza. And we look forward to having them all up in 23. So between the pools, the beaches, the golf courses, and the ethnic festivals, we've had a very normal summer, and we're very proud about that. And we want to particularly shout out respect to our Parks and Recreation Department. We put them through their paces during these months. I didn't even add on to that Bicycle Sunday, which has traditionally been a May and June activity. We have historically not run Bicycle Sundays during July and August because we need the manpower to run all these other things. But we included Bicycle Sunday the last 2 years all summer long as a recreational opportunity for people that were being cooped up because of COVID. And then this year, even though we were back with the ethnic festivals, we still managed to maintain Bicycle Sunday for the month of July. We took the month of August off. Next weekend, there's no Bicycle Sunday, but the weekend after Labor Day, we resumed them on the Bronx River Parkway, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. From the 11th, September 11th is a Sunday, from that date all the way through the end of October, and that too is a great recreation. We have 55 separate parks in this county, all across the county, and we're very proud of them. Most of them have been improved in various ways. We've talked about the capital projects. I'll summarize that at the end. And all of them are legacies that come down from prior administrations that obtained these facilities and developed these facilities, and we're trying to improve them as we go along. I think pretty soon we expect to have a new cricket field that's going to be ready to open in Croton Point Park, and we'll make some to do about that. So many of our friends who live in Westchester County, whether they're of West Indian heritage or South Asian, Indian American heritage, cricket is their number one sport, and we're going to have a place for them to enjoy it. We're still looking for more places that could possibly serve that function. I'm going to ask Ken to touch on the airport public hearing and then also on 9/11, and I'm going to close with some other information about the recent primary. And then if we have any questions from the press, we'll take them. And if not, we'll let Lisa Reyes start her vacation, which begins as soon as this is over. She is not going to have a staycation this year, and she's earned it. And we're very happy that she will take that break. But first, we have a few more topics to cover. Ken.
Thanks, George. We have gone through the airport master planning process, and as part of that, we have a continuing series of airport public hearings. The next set of public hearings for the airport, the next one is going to be in Newcastle. That's going to be on September 6th. So the day after Labor Day, September 6th, 6 p.m. at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center will be the next opportunity to speak at the airport regarding the airport master plan. And the input is extremely important. As county executives continues to point out, we've heard a lot of information at the public hearings about the noise and the things that happen, but we've also heard from passengers that utilize the terminal and want to make modernization things happen and improvements at the main airport terminal, making sure that there's a better flow that goes through. You need to hear, and we need to hear your information. You certainly can attend the public hearing on September 6th. The following week, we're actually going to Connecticut for our neighbors in Connecticut in Greenwich, right on King Street at the Harvest Time Church. So it's right outside of the airport, but it is in Greenwich, and we worked with the selectmen over there to make sure that they have an opportunity to provide that level of input as well. Again, the master planning process is it's essential instrument that is required by the Federal Aviation Authority for us to complete and to do. We have this opportunity, based on County Executive Latimer's leadership, to hear from everyone to make basically a new master plan for the airport to see how it moves forward in the future. So again, your voices are important. If you have participated already, the county executive reminds you that you can come out again and make your points heard. You can send them into communications@westchestergov.com as well. And there is a website for the airport master plan. Again, that information is up on our screen as well. As we talk to and go through and turn the page into September, and people look around and say how quickly the year is going by, we know that after Labor Day, we have the solemn occasion for September 11th. That September 11th ceremony, we are cordially inviting you to join us for the rising ceremony at September 11th memorial ceremony at the Kensico Dam Plaza. That's going to start at 3 p.m. We encourage you to RSVP. That's more just to ensure that we know how many people are coming, to make sure that there's appropriate numbers of seats. It's a wonderful, wonderful ceremony to make sure that we recognize those that were lost on September 11th. And last year, on the 20th anniversary, we were able to add a memorial for those that have passed on from 9/11 related illnesses. And while people recall and things that happened on 9/11, there's people now, and especially our young folks now, that have not been around at all to understand anything about 9/11. So this is really important for us to continue to make sure that we recognize those folks that we lost as a direct result of the things and the activities that happened on 9/11, but those that passed on based on working on the pile. And unfortunately, we're going to add a few names to it this year. It is our understanding that there's another 25 names of people that we have lost in Westchester County based on 9/11 related illnesses. And that could have been emergency responders, it could have been a firefighter, it could have been a police officer, an EMS worker, or it could actually have been construction workers that were trying to do the recovery and people that were working for the recovery. That memorial is a tremendous addition, and it is a needed addition to continue to remember all of the things that happened on 9/11 so that we never forget. Thanks, George.
Thanks again, Ken. And on September 11th, which does fall on a Sunday this year, and given religious services on Sunday, other activities, the NFL, we encourage you to check your local information through your local town or city or village hall to find out how your community is recognizing that commemoration this year. They vary in times and locations. Some of them have been traditional locations. Sometimes they move them around depending on the communities. As Ken pointed out, ours would be at Kensico Dam Plaza, 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, September 11th. And we try to put it in that time frame so it wouldn't conflict with many other municipal ones, although there will be some conflicts. It's inevitable. But we encourage you to go and spend a few minutes of your time, whether you can do it in White Plains, or, well, you can do it in the county government in Kensico, or in one of your local governments, to remember those that we've lost that day and those that we lost thereafter. It's a very important, very, very sobering moment. We made much the last couple of weeks about the primaries that were just completed. We had 2 rounds of primaries this year. There was primaries on June 28th for governor, lieutenant governor, and in some parts of Westchester County Assembly primaries. And then we just had a round of primaries that ended this past Tuesday. We had primaries for the 2 congressional seats and a couple of different political parties, and for a state Senate seat that covered the south end of New Rochelle and Pelham. With these primaries now complete, we know now who will be on the ballot in November for the various elections. And you'll have United States Senate, you'll have the governor and lieutenant governor running as a ticket, state controller, state attorney general. You'll have members of Congress, members of the state Senate, and state assembly members. And we have a series of judges who are running for the state Supreme Court, which is a regional Supreme Bench, also county court judge. And then in some communities, there will be unexpired terms, vacant terms for council seats. And you should look and determine what in your community may fall into that category. There are no county elections officially this year for non-judicial positions. There is a county court position up this year, but county clerk, district attorney, county executive, and the members of the Westchester County Board of Legislators are not on the ballot this year. We take great pride in knowing that Westchester County finished 3rd in the state of New York. Ken was tracking these numbers every day. New York numbers for early voting. Manhattan finished 1st, Brooklyn finished 2nd, and Westchester County was 3rd. We were ahead in terms of early voting. We were ahead of the Bronx, ahead of Queens, ahead of Nassau, Suffolk, Erie County, counties comparable in size to us. And I think that's a statement about the Westchester voter, that they used early voting to a greater extent, which made it convenient. As opposed to having one day, and you might be able to make that day, you might not be able to make that day for whatever reasons are. We had proportionally strong early voting, but in general, primaries have a very low turnout. But whoever shows up are the ones that get the voices carried, and those representatives of those different political parties will now run in the November election. The primary in the congressional district number 16, which is basically southern Westchester, I-287 and south. It includes the major cities of Yonkers, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, White Plains, most but not all of the town of Greenburgh, and then some other communities. It also includes a section of the Bronx. Current Congressman Jamal Bowman won that primary, and he will be on the Democratic line in November. In the district North of 287, that's District 17. That also includes all of Rockland County, all of Putnam County, and a couple of communities in Dutchess County. Incumbent Congressman Sean Patrick Maloney won the Democratic primary for that seat. Michael Lawler, an assemblyman from Rockland, won in both the Republican and the Conservative primaries, and so they will be on the ballot facing each other in November. And in the 34th Senate District, which includes all of the town of Pelham, about half of the city of New Rochelle, the southern half of New Rochelle, and then a large section of the Bronx, the East Bronx. Natalia Fernandez was the successful winner of the Democratic primary, and she will be on the ballot there. We've also watched some districts right near us. My colleague, now former colleague, Pat Ryan, who is Ulster County Executive, defeated colleague Mark Molinaro, who's the Dutchess County Executive, for the unexpired term in the U.S. House of Representatives in what is currently the 19th seat. That was the seat vacated by Antonio Delgado when he became lieutenant governor. And so now Congressman Pat Ryan is running in November in the 18th seat. It gets complicated, which includes Ulster and some other counties. And Mark Molinaro is running in the 19th congressional district as it has been reconfigured through redistricting, and it includes other counties, Greene County, and then further west and north, all the way out to Ithaca. Try running in a district like that. And, of course, all of these elections will be decided in November. The control of the New York State Legislature, the control of the U.S. House of Representatives, and the United States Senate are on the ballot. As we get closer to Election Day, we will just inform you of the races. We're not here to advocate. We are here to inform and provide basic information so you know when you go to the polls. And we will also talk about, from an informational standpoint, a major ballot initiative that would provide a bond issue for environmental projects across New York State. There will be a lot of discussion about that. We encourage people to read, go online, read whatever the websites are, read both the pros and the cons and the counter arguments to each, and be as informed a voter as you can. We believe in democracy, and we agree at the end of the day the will of the people is what they vote. That's what separates this nation from so many other nations on the globe, and that we accept the results of an election when their properly result comes through. And I have seen both victories and losses for the people that I support, and we take both with equanimity, because we recognize that democracy is a system that is greater than any one person, greater than either political party or any one philosophy. If we lose that, we lose everything that makes us different and distinctive, and we basically turn our back on the legacy of Washington and Lincoln and all those Americans that led us to this point. So with that, we'll just check, do we have any questions from the press? We do not. If there are any members of the press watching, you're welcome to reach out to us, 995-2900. Don't expect to see Lisa Reyes. She's on vacation, but Joe Scamato is back from vacation. He's got no place to go. He'll take your phone calls, and we'll be happy to try to answer any questions you have. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Tony Gonzalez for being with us today, and, of course, Ken Jenkins. We will be back on Tuesday, the day after Labor Day, which is September 6th. And on that day, we'll give you an update of where we are. Hopefully, the news will continue to be good on the things that we're tracking. We'll have more information about some of these stories. We'll also sort of give you a little preview of what's coming up on some of the fall issues. I would highlight, just as we close, that there's a lot to talk about. County government is not sexy. You know, we're not at the top of your list of things. But we have cut taxes in the last 3 years, 3 consecutive years. We will determine what we can do for the 4th year this year. We have seen a demonstrable drop in crime in Westchester County that may not track in other places, but it is provable in Westchester County. Violent crime down 20% in Westchester. We've seen a host of different capital projects, improvements that you see for yourself, whether you see what's happening at Playland or the New Rochelle Family Court or the various trails that we have out there. We had a census completion which showed that Westchester population is up almost 6% over 10 years from 2010 to 2020. We broke 1 million people in this county. So when people tell you everybody's moving, well, people are coming in and buying the houses that people move out of, and we're growing in population, which speaks to our economy being strong as we bounced back from the worst of COVID. We're looking at affordable housing projects. We've made some announcements. We have more to make on where we are with affordable housing and other progressive pieces of legislation. Yet, at the same time, we fully funded the police. We put in the toughest county executive term limits anywhere in the state of New York, and we've done a host of things that we think make common sense for all of us. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. I'm George Latimer. Be safe.